Have you ever felt totally lost in the gym? Just buried under a mountain of conflicting advice about how to build muscle? If that sounds familiar, then this is for you. We're breaking down Jeff Nippard's The Muscle Ladder, which is basically a clear, science-based roadmap. It shows you exactly what to focus on and in what order to get the best results you possibly can. So let's dive in and start the climb.
This quote right here, it hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the biggest mistake so many of us make. We get obsessed with the toppings, right? The fancy supplements, the perfect training split, all the little details. But we do it without making sure we have the ice cream itself, those solid foundational principles.
You know how it is. The fitness world is so noisy. One guru tells you to lift super heavy. Another one says it's all about chasing the pump. The Muscle Ladder just cuts straight through all of that noise. See, it's not another workout program. Think of it more as a framework for your thinking, one that organizes the actual science of muscle growth into a simple step-by-step climb. So here's our map for the journey today. First, we'll introduce what the ladder actually is. Then, we'll secure its side rails. Super important. After that, we start climbing the core rungs, look at how to optimize the whole journey, and finally plan everything out for the long haul. So what is the muscle ladder really? Well, just think of it as a hierarchy, a pyramid. The stuff at the bottom, that's the most critical. You absolutely have to master those things first. The stuff way up at the top, that's for fine-tuning and optimization later on. Getting this order right, that's the real key to unlocking consistent, long-term progress. And here's a little sneak peek of the climb we're about to take. You see, we start with technique. That is the absolute non-negotiable foundation. From there, we move up to picking the right exercises, applying the right amount of effort, and then making sure we're always progressively overloading. It's only after all that is solid that we even start to worry about things like volume or frequency or any of those advanced techniques. Okay, so before we even think about stepping on that first rung, we've got to talk about the side rails. These are the two things that hold the entire ladder together. Now, these aren't training variables, but trust me, without them, the whole thing just collapses. They are sustainability and mindset. This comparison just says it all, doesn't it? It really gets to the heart of sustainability. The person on the left is impatient. They're chasing a deadline, and they're setting themselves up for frustration and, honestly, probably an injury. But the person on the right, they're building a process that can last for years because they're actually listening to their body. You have to remember, the best program in the world is the one you can actually stick with. The second rail, mindset, is all about making this powerful shift from being outcome-oriented to process-oriented. So instead of getting fixated on a big goal like benching a certain weight, which, let's be real, can be derailed by bad sleep, stress, or just an off day, you focus on the process. Ask yourself, did I show up today? Did I follow the plan? You are in 100% control of the process. And when you nail the process, day in and day out, the outcomes just happen. All right. With our side rails locked in place, it is time to start the ascent. These first few rungs we're about to cover are the absolute non-negotiables for muscle growth. Get these right, and you are already way ahead of the game. First up, rung 1, technique. This is the bedrock. This is everything. Before you even think about how much weight is on the bar, you have to master how you move that weight. That means controlling it on the way down, the negative. It means using a deep stretch and a full squeeze. And it means getting rid of that sloppy momentum. Your goal isn't just to move weight from point A to point B. It's to create as much tension as possible in the specific muscle you're trying to grow. Okay, so once your technique is dialed in, rung 2 is all about exercise selection. That means picking the right tools for the job, movements that safely and effectively hit the muscles you want to grow. Now, with those exercises chosen, we can climb to rung 3, effort. This answers the most critical question: how hard are you actually training? Because most people, they undertrain. This concept of reps in reserve, or RIR, it gives us an objective way to measure our effort. It just asks a simple question at the end of a set: how many more good form reps could you really have done? And this scale makes that whole idea super practical. RPE, which stands for rating of perceived exertion, is tied directly to RIR. You can see it right there. Now, for muscle growth, most of your hard work should be happening in that 7 to 10 RPE range. That means you're leaving 3 reps, 2, 1, or even 0 reps in a tank. This is what ensures you're creating enough of that mechanical tension to actually signal your body to grow. So once you're training with good technique and you're pushing with enough effort, you have to give your body a reason to keep changing. That reason is progressive overload. I mean, think about it. If you lift the exact same weights for the exact same reps forever, your body has zero reason to adapt. You have to consistently give it a new, slightly harder challenge. This right here, this is the engine of all your long-term games. So how do you actually do that? Well, the double progression model is just a beautifully simple and incredibly effective way to do it. You progress in two ways. First, you add reps, then you add weight. You pick a rep range, say 6 to 8 reps, and you just focus on adding reps each workout until you hit the top of that range, so 8 reps for all your sets. Only then do you add a little bit of weight. Drop your reps back down to 6, and start the whole process over again. It makes you earn the right to lift heavier. Okay, so once you've really mastered those foundational rungs, we're talking technique, effort, and progressive overload, then you can start climbing higher and begin to optimize your training. These are the variables that are going to fine-tune your results and really take things to the next level. Next up on the ladder is volume. And volume is basically just how much work you're doing. What the science shows us is a pretty clear dose-response relationship. That means, generally, doing more hard sets for a muscle group each week leads to more growth, but, and this is a big but, only up to a certain point. And this right here is the practical takeaway. This is the number you want to remember. For most people and for most muscles, aiming for somewhere between 10 to 20 hard sets per week is that anabolic sweet spot. It's enough to maximize growth without going so far that you can't recover properly. It's a clear, actionable target for your program. We are now reaching the top of the ladder. These are the highest level concepts, the ones that structure your training not just over weeks, but over months and even years. And we'll also cover the crucial support systems that make all that hard work in the gym actually pay off. Now, periodization, it sounds really complex and intimidating, but it's not. It's really just long-term planning. This shows a simple macro cycle, basically a year-long plan. And you can see how the goals, the training volume, and the nutrition all shift over time. You go from a high-volume muscle-building phase to a fat loss phase, and then finally a maintenance or peaking phase. This kind of strategic planning is how you prevent plateaus. Of course, all that training is only half the battle, right? When we talk about the fuel you need for growth, protein is king. It's not even a debate. The scientific consensus is crystal clear. You want to aim for 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight every single day. That is the optimal range for maximizing muscle repair and growth. So what about supplements? I mean, the industry is just full of hype and ridiculous claims. But the actual evidence, the science, points to a very, very short list. These are the Tier 1 proven winners. You got protein powder, mostly for convenience to help you hit that protein goal. You've got creatine monohydrate for boosting strength and performance. And you have caffeine for that pre-workout focus and energy boost. And that's basically it. Look, if you only take one single thing away from this entire breakdown, please let it be this. Don't get distracted by the toppings before you have the ice cream. Master the fundamentals at the bottom of the ladder, your technique, your effort, and your progressive overload. Because that foundation, that is what will ultimately determine how high you can ever hope to climb. So we've laid out the entire science-based roadmap, from those foundational side rails all the way to the highest rungs of long-term planning. Now the question is for you. Take an honest look at your own training. Which rung needs the most attention? Where's your weak link? What are you going to focus on strengthening first?